I golf, so I'm competitive. So I had a house on the golf course, so I mastered my hole because nobody was going to visit me because I would just sneak out, at dusk and play that hole every night. So, and
Love it.
I putt well, my short game's great. I'm not great at driving, but that hole I cannot be beaten at because I'm going to not be
I
losing
love
on my right. But golf is something, I was watching the Bel Air today, and Uncle Phil has Will and Carlton out on the go because this is where deals are made. This is where. So we've been conditioned to, this is where everything happens. It's here on the golf course. So he's teaching his black boys to golf and be good. You're laughing because you were in that space for a minute. Did you master golf?
So I love playing golf, and I'll tell you that I'm one of those people who has to be honest and say that I master holes from time to time. I'm a better driver than than I am a putter.
We should
Yeah,
play together, and
we
then you
should play
drive
together.
because I.
That's right. Best ball. We could make something happen, just like spades, right? We can do this.
Yes.
And but I do like the game. I love the game. Still today, I try to play in the summer months at least once or twice a week. But I still see how the game is for some and it's not for others. And it's all about the money being made on the course, the deals, and the money to actually even get on the course to play the game and play the game well. So it's a little challenging.
When I think about it, and I never thought about it before, because my mother, literally, my mom, my grandmama, my uncles, and my aunts, raised in Augusta, Georgia, grew up in Augusta, Georgia, generations in Augusta, Georgia, and we would drive by the Augusta National. My uncle caddied from time to time, but I never put it together, the history. Bobby Jones Highway. It's like, who the hell is Bobby Jones? Never looked him up until like recently, and I was like, oh, this is some problematic stuff right here. Okay, even the name. So there's this wonderful article about the Masters, which kicks off today, and it starts to think of the Masters is to think of Jack Nicklaus, the most successful champion in the majors history, with 6 wins, and Arnold Palmer, who donned the winner's green jacket 4 times in just 6 years at Augusta National. And yet for decades, 2 former champions with a combined 9 wins lay buried in unmarked graves. And I'm like, what? Willie Peterson, I'm going to say his name 3 times. Willie Peterson, because he died and was buried in an unmarked grave. So we're going to know his name today. Willie Peterson caddied Nicklaus's first 5 victories. And Nathaniel Iron Man Avery was on the bag for all 4 of Arnold Palmer's triumphs. Avery's headstone was only installed at Augusta's Southview Cemetery in Georgia in 2017. He didn't get a headstone until 2017, 32 years after his death. 3 years later, a 10-minute drive away at Cedar Grove Cemetery, Willie Peterson, who died in 1999, got his gravestone. These were just 2 of Augusta National's original caddy corps, all of them Black, from the inaugural edition of the tournament in 1934, guided golfers around this fabled course. And anyone who golfs, the caddy is everything.
The caddy is everything. You play your best game if you've got a good caddy, because a caddy helps you to understand everything from how the greens are running, where you have trouble on the fairway, where you'll have trouble, when you get to the green. It helps you to appreciate how they're sloping, which club to use at which point, the distance, where there's trouble. So essentially the caddy is like it's kind of like the person, it's like the co-pilot, but it's the one who's telling you how to navigate. So yes, you're hitting the ball, but you need help on figuring out, well, where do you need to hit the ball? And if you hit it shallow, what's going to happen? All of that. Caddies are like, they're engineers in some respects. And what got me as I read the article that you shared with me is this appreciation that caddies helped to make the game, but they didn't get the recognition for what they brought to the game, and that the caddies in the main at Augusta were young black boys, right? And at a time where we were discounting, minimizing the ability and the capacity of Black Americans. Still today that's happening, but the intelligence, the mental abilities, the capacity to count, to measure, the mathematics and the science that all go into golf, and all of that was being minimized when it came to Black people. But yet these guys were out here telling them, teaching them how to play the game, applying, the science. Whether I don't know, you want to call it like the science of the landscape and of the greens, of the grounds and all that. They were doing it while at the same time being treated as though they had no value, no worth.
I think about the money, right? Because Tiger Woods, y'all, his father understood that, because his father grew up in the wake of that same segregation and degradation, and he was determined to make sure that his boy was going to be on those. Like it was personal for Earl. It's personal for him, and it's a shame that his son doesn't know who he is and is walking around as if, the melanin that courses through his veins is not the reason why. But, I think about, the money that's made right now. A caddy makes between 15 to 3 at the Masters, $1,500 to $2,000 per round. Each round. And I think about those men probably didn't get paid hardly anything. No. And it was like a kind of yes'em boss, but so important. And the subjugation to these people, Nicholas and Arnold Palmer, who has a whole lemonade sweet tea drink named for him, and I'm not saying that they're bad people, because it was the times that we live in, right? I guess. Right. But any one of those people could have been competitive, but they never got the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, when I think about it that way, what I'm reminded of is the fact that this is how America has just, it plays out in every respect. You've got I'm oversimplifying when I say this, but you think about all of the drivers, right, in the cars that, over the years were relegated to the role of driving somebody somewhere. They couldn't driving little white children to school. They couldn't get an education or put their children in those schools to better themselves, right? Or, driving Miss Daisy, right? And like maybe you get the crumbs. And the caddies were they were making better money than their family members. Like in the article, it talks about how a young Black caddy might have made more than his parents who were working full-time jobs, but it still was pennies comparatively speaking. But that's how this nation has done this. Right? I mean, you look at Wall Street in New York City. Who built Wall Street? Black. And some of them free Blacks built Wall Street, but they didn't get to benefit from it early on. It's just what it tells you is that it's rampant, and in some places it's still pervasive.
It also, we need to know this. Some with why are you bringing this up now? Well, because we need to know the full history, whether we're talking about the Kentucky Derby and all of the horse racing and who were the jockeys and how that all happened, to this, to the golf game would not be the golf game without black men. And
let me just say for a second, the jockeys, think about that. At the Kentucky Derby early on, there were Black jockeys. But keep in mind, the prize does not go to the jockey. The big prize doesn't go to the jockey. The big prize goes to the owner of the horse. But who's helping the horse to run her best race? Who's making that happen? Yes, you've got people training the horse, but who's on that horse? Telling that horse when to move and how to move, when to pick up the speed, how to be measured when they come out the gate. The jockey. Black and brown in many instances.